really interested in relating to that is like players' hotkeys. So I heard that Flash has actually kept the same hotkeys from Brood War. But because at one point, like I was trying to play both games, right? And even the simple things, like for example, to build a probe in Brood War or a pylon, it's the P hotkey. But in SE2, it's the E hotkey by default. So like I would be like playing SE2, right? And I'll be like, okay, build, hit E for probe, and then hit E, BE for pylon. And I go and play a Brood War game, and I'm hitting E, and it's like not building a pylon. I'm like, what is going on here? Why will it not build a pylon? And it's actually just because the hotkeys are different. And the thing is, though, that like I mean, the Brood War pros could switch all their hotkeys or just convert all their hotkeys, but Brood War hotkeys are oftentimes a little bit inefficient. Just because when they were made, like they weren't made in terms, with Blizzard thinking about how the ergonomics work, whatever. They just like picked random letters. So in SE2, you can actually make your hotkeys a lot more efficient, but then obviously that makes it harder to play both games, and also I guess requires more practice time to get used to a new hotkey setup. So unfortunately, I don't think it's something we'll actually be able to see just from watching the stream, but I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, I also think that, actually we've seen a lot of Brood War pros actually keep the same hotkeys when, like, even, like GSL pros, like the ones that switched before this point, actually keep very similar hotkeys. Like, I know Nesty is known for hotkeying all his hatcheries separately, and, double tapping to each base to inject.
Interesting.
Rather than, hotkeying all the queens or use one of the newer methods.
Oh, that's really cool. Huh.
Apparently I have a little sound problem that I'm trying to fix.
Alright. By the way, oh, hold on, we can see our first player. It looks like Fantasy's coming out.
Fantasy?
For
this is Brood War.
The first set, that's right. We are starting off with our Brood War best of 3 and SKT leading out with one of their best players. I think Fantasy actually ended...
he was their ace last season.
Yeah, he had the best record in the regular season.
13-2.
Some people would still say, oh, Bisu is the best on SKT, but Fantasy definitely strong here. So unfortunately, we won't get to see him play, Terran Nessie 2, where...
nope, not yet at least. But we will see that next week, so...
Indeed.
Stay tuned.
A lot of people eager to see Fantasy try and do bio. Anyways, Jaehoon will be his opponent here from Team 8, a Protoss player, so it's going to be a TVP.
TVP.
The map is going to be Neo Jade.
Indeed.
So
I don't actually know this map at all, because I am a Brood War follower that is a year out of date.
That's alright, because this is actually an updated version, so this is going to be the first game that anybody has ever seen on this map, or at least this version of it. Followers of the Season 1 of Pro League will of course be familiar with that Jade. I think there were two major changes on this map. First of all, the gas at your third base has been reduced in value from the standard 5,000 to I think just 1,500. So that's going to be a lot less gas to use. And also the structure of the natural has been changed a little bit. Basically the minerals are pressed against the north edge instead of like against the edge of the map, so it's a little bit easier for me to harass and whatnot. And I think that's about it. Might notice some other change when I see it. Essentially I think it just helps Zergs a little bit, because this was basically a Protoss and Terran map in Season 1 of Pro League.
Well, we'll see. We don't always... Alright, we're getting started, so...
Indeed.
Check that for a minute. Quickly adjusting microphone setting.
SKT1 fighting!
Alright, we have Fantasy from SK Telecom T1 spawning in the top left-hand corner in the purple Terran. And in the bottom left-hand corner, which we will hopefully be seeing soon. We have no camera control. If you're a StarCraft 2 fan, you are used to the casters having camera control. We're following the Korean stream, so we will see exactly what they see. We have no control over what you see, so if you say put up the production tab, I will call you a retard, because there is a production tab in this game, and we don't have control even if there was. Anyway, we got Jaehoon in the white Protoss in the bottom left-hand corner.
That's right.
This map is Neo Jade, as we mentioned earlier. Anything really interesting about this map that you feel is kind of important to point out, aside from the changes we talked about?
I think otherwise, like, I think this map, when they designed it, they basically said, okay, let's try and make like as standard a map as possible. So you just have your normal natural near your main and relatively easy to take third, and there's no real quote-unquote like interesting features. They basically wanted at least one standard map in the map pool.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like the Neo fighting spirit, I guess, of this season. Just the your stock standard macro map. The one, I guess, slightly unusual terrain feature is the reverse ramp. So your main base is actually entirely on low ground, and your natural is on high ground. So if there is any really early aggression, perhaps you can make use of that and like camp the top of the ramp outside your opponent's main base. And in the meantime, it looks like we actually have a barracks being built at the natural here of Fantasy. That makes me feel like, I think there's a depot in his main already, so I think he's going for a 1-Rax expand here, so a gasless expand. Relatively safe build, just a macro build, and yeah, looks like that's exactly what he's doing. Meanwhile, Jaehoon has got his gateway and his gas, and I believe that will be his cybernetics core starting up right there.
Yeah, I think that was the second pylon. Oh, no, that is cybernetics core.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. We got a scout STV coming out for Fantasy. Looks like it's scouting the wrong direction first, which is, well, I actually don't know.
Might be going to the bottom left, might just be going to the middle to check for proxies. Jaehoon occasionally busts out the cheese. Actually, teammate players in general have been pretty cheesy last season.
Interesting. I mean, also keep that in mind that since players will be practicing both games, it is quite possible that we'll see cheeses be pulled out quite a bit, because, a player who doesn't have a lot of practice time might want to prepare one specific build so that he doesn't have to worry about like the reactions of his opponent as much. He can just practice one specific scenario and go. We got a command center being laid down for Fantasy at the natural expansion.
Yep.
Using his second supply depot to start a bit of a wall.
Yep. That's actually a really nice wall, and the funny thing is that walls in Brood War, by the way, often look like they're not tight at all when they actually are. So that barracks depot command center wall, I'm 99% sure is actually zealot proof, even though it looks like there's huge gaps in between the buildings.
It's definitely a bit tight between the depot and the barracks. I'm not sure about I think there might be a space between the depot and the command center, though.
It's possible. I can never tell.
See.
Like, that's one of the funny things about Brewer.
I know how
like,
it works,
I've been playing this game for like however many years. I've watched a million casted games, and still I just am never really sure about the walls.
Yeah, there's a gap between
the okay. All right, never mind.
You were close, though. We got a 1-gate goon range expand coming out from Jaehoon. I would say this is very normal. Nothing crazy going on. He might do a little pressure with these first goons with range to force some repair on a bunker that Fantasy will inevitably make. Dragoons with range actually do outrange even a bunker in this game, because so you can force some repair for quite a while before a tank is built. But Fantasy will, of course, be transitioning into gas and a factory. Mech is pretty much the only thing you can do in this matchup unless you're doing some sort of crazy timing push. Fantasy actually managing to get a scout in, despite the prepared Dragoons, and see the natural expansion being put up. Fantasy putting up 2 factories in his main. Jaehoon throwing down the robotics. Everything looking very normal.
Yeah, I think Jaehoon actually scouted really, really late. Like, he didn't send out his probe until after his Nexus was down, and then I think he got a glimpse of the barracks there or something. But either way, I mean, playing a 1-gate expand is a very, very safe build in PvT, so he just felt that he didn't really need to scout very early. Now, he has gone for a robo already. This could just be for observers, or he could go for a fast Reaver and go try to do some Reaver harass, which would be quite exciting. SC2 fans will get to see this legendary unit that they've heard all about.
I hope we see some Reavers. That would be great. I haven't seen Reavers in quite a while, so I would love to see some Reaver play. We got goons moving. Go ahead.
Sorry, I would like to expand on your point a little bit earlier about mech and TVP. This is, I think, one of these, big differences in just the overall, I guess, gameplay in the Brood War TVP versus SE2 TVP. Because in SE2 TVP, it's really about the bio ball and ghosts and EMPing and whatnot. But in Brood War, actually, bio is extremely rare. It's considered kind of cheesy, kind of gimmicky build. The standard is just to go for mass factory units, vultures, siege tanks, and a few Goliaths thrown in there, depending on what the Protoss is doing. And it's extremely strong. So it'll be very interesting to see that kind of slow, methodical style compared to like the very fast harass-based bio style of SE2 TVP.
We got a fast third base going down for Jaehoon. I think he's still on just 1 gateway. This is not unheard of. It's not crazy to do something like this, but it's definitely could be vulnerable to some kind of timing push, even though that is kind of uncommon. Well, less common than a more macro-based build nowadays. You know, Fantasy also will have an opportunity for harass. He's got an academy down to build comsat stations on those command centers. Brood War fans, a comsat station basically it gives your command center the ability to scan. Your command center has no abilities otherwise, so you could call it an orbital command, except that you don't actually have mules, you just scan.
There's no mules, guys. How does Terran even win games in Brood War? I don't even know. But,
Terran is really mechanically hard in this game.
One thing I'm curious about is whether he has actually gone for Reavers. We haven't seen the support bay yet.
Yeah.
But, you know, going for that fast double expand is usually what you do when you go for the Reavers, because you use the Reavers to harass the Terran, keep him pinned back in his base, and that's what makes the double expand safe. Just skipping that and going for Observers and Gateway units is possible, but it feels a little bit more risky to me. But it seems that's what he's doing. Meanwhile, Fantasy going in with these Vultures, of course, Fantasy very well known for his Vulture harass. His nickname is the Terrorist because of his Vultures. And letting 4 Vultures into the base, Jaehoon cannot be happy about this. Planning Spider Mines, 2 more going into the natural here. The Dragoons are all in the main base. He could lose a lot of probes here if he's not careful. He actually does have a support bay at his natural, so he was going Reavers. But he's going to lose so many probes to these Fantasy Vultures.
Yeah, this is definitely not good for Jaehoon. These mines, even if there is an observer there for the site to clean them up, do delay Jaehoon's Dragoons a lot because they've got to slow down. And, you know, Dragoon AI can sometimes cause them to derp into mines more often than you might like. Oh, and a huge mine.
Oh!
Sick play by Fantasy so far.
Spider Mines, ladies and gentlemen.
So much damage.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
This is pretty much game-ending damage. We've got a 3rd command center going up. You know, this is not a committed harass play at all. You know, Jaehoon's definitely going to have to do some serious damage with his Reaver in order to survive, you know, Fantasy's first big push, I feel.
Interestingly, I didn't see a turret there in the main base of Fantasy.
Yeah, he's actually just started an eBay.
Yeah,
like, it was just finishing up.
If the Reaver gets in there and gets a decent number of SCV kills, that could be exactly what he needs. Or rather, I think that is what he needs to get back in this game, because as you said, his probe count is so low. Just look at this. Barely has 1 probe per patch at his 3 bases. I mean, he does have 3 Nexuses pumping, but he is really on the back foot here. Fantasy adding on more factories. He's got his armor up. He might actually get a Goliath to help ward away that shuttle when it comes in.
Yeah. He does have an armory up. He is actually getting missile turrets up. He has lifted his 3rd command center over to that base. So his economy is going to be very strong. You know, Jaehoon also, of course, on 3 bases, but losing all those probes to, you know, 6 Vultures is definitely not what you want to do at this stage in the game. Shuttle moving in will have a couple Zealots along with those Reavers.
Oh, he's actually going to try and kill the Siege Tank, and I think he will get it.
He's going to get a Siege Tank. Nicely done. Pretty much a free Siege Tank.
Oh my god, the SCVs are bunched! Oh, he only hits the edge one. Oh man, there was a perfect clump there, but one was standing out on the edge. Unlucky shot for Jaehoon. Well, I guess
Shuttle moving in the main, getting caught by a couple Goliaths, taking quite a bit of damage, but not going down. Moving back out. I don't believe he has the shuttle speed upgrade. I haven't seen shuttles in a really long time, so I don't actually know.
That does look like a slow shuttle to me. You are correct.
Yeah. Alright, yeah, that's definitely a slow shuttle. eBay moving down to give some sight. eBays can lift off in this game, and they're essentially useless when you're playing mech, because all you're using them for is turrets, so they're very useful as scouting buildings, as well as barracks, since you're not making any barracks units.
Indeed.
Jaehoon beginning to add some gases at that natural and 3rd, possibly. Actually, just the natural for now. Still on just a few gateways, so you know, he's definitely very vulnerable to attack here, but the thing is that Terran armies in the early game are really not super strong other than the Vulture harass. You know, they take a lot of kind of units and positioning to really be cost effective as they want to be. And the Protoss units are very tough early on.
It's actually similar to SC2 mech, where you basically need a decent core of siege tanks as like your main force. Like if you have, you know, 5-6 siege tanks, you're not going to move out, because even though siege is pretty good, just in those low numbers, it's not effective enough. You really, you know, kind of gain a lot more efficiency by having a big ball of units. But one thing to note, though, is that right now it's on even bases, and in even bases PvT, the Terran has the advantage, so Jaehoon either needs to do an attack, he needs to do some harass, or just get a 4th base ASAP, because if he just leaves the situation as it is, he's just falling further and further behind right now. And it looks like he is going in with the Reaver to the natural. Fantasy has a couple of Goliaths there. Is he going to go for it? The shuttle's already damaged, he's got to be so careful.
No range on the Goliaths.
Oh.
You know, another thing about Jaehoon, we haven't seen him look to make any further tech towards possibly Storm or Arbiters, which could, you know, do some evening up. He does have Zealot legs, based on the Citadel of Dune. I presume that he does have the Zealot speed upgrade, which helps a lot against tanks, obviously. You definitely need that to break tank lines. We do have a Templar Archives going up, so he will be teching towards Templar, possibly Arbiters later on. But yeah, I mean, if we take a look at the Fantasy's base here, we've got 9 factories, and we have... Last time we saw, there were 4 gateways. And when you've got twice as many factories as the Protoss has gateways, that's a pretty good situation for a Terran to be in. We got more gateways going down now, finally, but yeah, Jaehoon's production is definitely lacking.
Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised by this. I don't know why that isn't. Oh my god, he sniped the shuttle. These Reavers could go down. The Spider Mine's doing insane damage on the Reavers. Oh my goodness, a horrible situation now for Jaehoon. Those Reavers were helping him keep the Terran back in his base. I mean, just the threat of the Reaver harass and just the Reavers camping outside the natural was keeping Fantasy on the defensive.
Be in serious trouble. Vultures surrounding them from all sides. Don't know if they'll find their way home.
Wow, and those are Fantasy Vultures, no less. Extremely scary.
Yeah.
It looks like Observer Speed has finished
Stargate
for Jaehoon, though. And Stargate, indeed, so he is going up
very soon.
Indeed, he's going to need those. But, I mean, he's still staying on 3 bases, staying on even base count with Fantasy. He's just so far behind right now. He's actually almost 50 supply behind. If you look at the bottom right, you can see 150 supply for Fantasy against just the 108 for Jaehoon.
Yeah.
Actually wondering if I should put up my overlay for the player names or something. Anyway.
Oh, I was going to add that, but I forgot. I can do that right now, and people won't even see it.
We can do it after the game. They'll probably run some commercials anyway. And, oh no, here comes the push from Fantasy. Marines, Vultures, Goliath, Siege Tanks, the whole shebang, and only Dragoons out that I can see for Jaehoon. He hasn't even added on his Speed Zealots yet, just hasn't switched into that Zealot production. And, oh man, this is horrible. He's like microing a single control group of units against a massive Terran army. This is going to be lights out for him, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much going to be it for Jaehoon. Not a whole lot he can do to stop this giant ball of mech rolling across the map. I mean, he's got pretty much nothing. He's down to 88 supply to the 138, excuse me, of Fantasy, and GG! Jaehoon falling in a, you know, overall pretty one-sided game 1. You know, there was no point where Fantasy really looked like he was in serious danger. You know, the Reaver harass was well attempted and didn't fail as badly as it could have, but really it didn't do any true damage other than keeping Fantasy in his base until they died. Yeah, that Vulture harass was just way too brutal that early in the game. I mean, that's why Fantasy is known for his Vultures. 6 Vultures just won him that game, literally. Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it for Jaehoon. Once it got to that point, you know, all it took from Fantasy was careful defense, and then the game was done at that point. Yep. But that's alright, because that, of course, was SKT's ace player, so no real surprise that he took a game there. Let's see who's going to come out in the second set. I'm actually quite eager to see. And also, for anyone who's not too familiar with these teams, this is kind of an underdog situation for Team 8. Team 8, basically last season... Actually, are they still unsponsored, or did they get a sponsor? No, did they? They don't have a title sponsor, at least. Yeah. They're still called Team 8. Alright. But basically, this team, the entire first season of the SK Planet Pro League, they had no sponsor. They basically had just like a really reduced team because of that. They were essentially just funded by Kespa to keep them alive. And, you know, it really showed on their performance. So they were basically like the underdog team for the whole season, showing some really actually disappointing series, unfortunately. They do have some great players, though. They do, like Jaedong, the legendary Jaedong, is on their team, but it just wasn't really performing up to snuff. And, you know, on the other hand, SKT is one of the powerhouse teams. Like, they won. They have a ton of big... yeah, to put it in short, yes. They won the entire season. They're the bosses here. Taking an awesome series off of KT Rolster in the finals there. Yeah, that was a great series. Flash notably losing twice, but they were really good games, the ones he lost. You know, those are not losses that you say, man, this guy is no longer good. These are like top-class games, crazy games. I highly recommend anyone curious to just check that series out. One of the best of 7 series that I've ever seen. And I did do a live cast of that, actually, with the lovely Kiet, who you might know from the SPL manga. So, yeah. Anyway. I guess we're just going to chill for these commercials now. I actually don't know how long these commercial breaks are going to be. It might actually be nice, then I can, like, relax a little bit, take a drink of water. Yeah. I'm going to actually go grab a drink from my fridge during this break. Alright, go ahead. I will keep the viewers entertained. Someone just asked, is that Orb with you? You sound a little like Orb, actually. Man, so many people tell me that.
I don't know why.
No, you actually do sound like Orb. That's crazy. You sound very much like Orb. Alright, be right back.
Alright. Anyways, oh man, I had a story to tell you guys, but then I forgot because he told me I sound like Orb. Ah. Hold on, maybe I should like talk about how Terran is imbalanced or something, and I'll really sound like Orb. Friggin' Terrans. Marauders. God, Marauders. Anyway,
Alright, I'm here.
Yeah. Man, I was trying to tell a story or something. I just forgot what I was saying. You know what? It's not my fault, guys.
Update the thread between these games.
Oh wait, looks like we have a commercial here. That's Jangbi. What is this?
Yeah, this is Star League commercial. Based on the logo.
Round of 16.
Matchup Star League.
TV. Oh, what's up?
I could have read the player names, but they went away too fast.
Looks like now we have the Pro League commercial.
Oh my esports.
These are of course scenes from season 1, which was pretty awesome. I actually live casted the entire thing, or not live casted, but restreamed the entire thing.
Anyway. And that one was like shorter than the previous years as well, right? Like it was like a 6-month season or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
5 months, whatever it was.
Like 3 rounds of however many weeks, like 10 weeks or something like that.
Previously, when we had 12 teams, we had year-long seasons of 5 rounds. Back in my day.
Back in Poke
Those
Bunny's
were the
day.
days.
That's right.
Back in my 2 years ago day.
For anyone who didn't know that, Poke Bunny is an old-time Brood War Gosu, hitting that magical blue rank back in the day.
Yeah, there is no greater feeling than logging on IC Cup and being placed in ladder A to B.
Dude, I know. Oh man, there was
the moment of my life.
There's an amazing.
I was hanging out there with all the Gosu Koreans, and I was like, yeah,
dude,
this is why I play this game.
But it's so sad because like now the ladder AB is like mostly empty. So like I actually just. I finally got B- like 3 months ago, and I was so happy. I was streaming it. I was like freaking out, and the channel was just empty. There was like nobody there. It's like the only guy there. So I was like, I rule the AB channel.
You are the king of ladder A to B.
Mm-hmm. And
that was the first game, for those of you asking. As you can see, I put up a little title that says SKT 10T8. So, if you're paying attention.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Let me put a little something up myself. Actually, hold on. I actually have a little fancy thingamajig overlay that I can put. Let's see, where is that thing?
Man, how fancy are you?
Yeah, dude. It's from my Pro League rebroadcasts. It's pretty sick. It's custom made. Actually, I don't remember who gave it to me. I think Except gave it to me.
If I continue doing this, I might get some fancier overlays. I could probably do it on all the weekend ones. The ones that start at this time on Friday and Saturday nights in America.
And right now, by the way, guys, if you're confused, this is actually the same game that we just watched. They're doing an instant replay and basically doing a winner's interview, just asking Fantasy some random questions like, how does it feel owning a guy in the first game of the new season? Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe I can't find this overlay. Where is it?
If anyone knows Korean, you can translate what's going on if you can actually make it out. I might turn up the stream here.
Yeah, there must be somebody watching this on like the original thing who can translate for us.
If you want to translate in the chat, feel free. I'm sure the viewers would appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, basically they're probably just talking about how this was such a key moment and ask him what he was thinking during each point in the game or blah, 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 you know. Probably nothing too revolutionary, but definitely awesome to hear the players' insight right after the game.
Indeed, indeed. Alright. Hold on, alright, let me actually look at my stream chat. You should like, if somebody can actually translate, I'll just mod them. That's right, guys. If you know Korean, you should translate and you'll be mod. Boom. You get to ban people. It's sick, man. Being a mod is sick.
For some awful reason. Like, I found that out and I cried inside, but it's alright. Both sites are equally awesome. Well, they both have advantages and disadvantages, I'll just say that.
Alright, I don't see anybody typing what looks like translations, so you guys missed your chance. I gave you a chance to be a mod in the stream, and you blew it.
Your chance for fame.
Exactly. You could have been
You
the
had
next
your one
hero of
shot at
esports. Oh, I'm actually getting like a bunch of messages on.
I have a couple PMs on
Skype.
TL. I might read.
Or we could actually just make up what he's saying right now. He's like, oh yeah, I saw the shuttle come into my main, but I had no fear because I am Terran, and Terran isn't balanced. Ah ha ha ha. That's right, guys. Terran's imbalanced in Brood War too. Who knew?
Thank you, everyone, for the kind messages. I am reading them. Shout out to Super Tofu. Love you. Thanks a lot. He says. Thank you. Pandane saying, thanks for such a great post. It really helps us StarCraft 2 players who aren't exposed to Brood War. I can't thank you enough. I love you so much. From Pandane.
Love you too,
Cool.
Pandane.
Someone with a casting tip telling me I'm talking over Sayle, which is true.
It's alright.
And another thank you. So thank you to everyone. Sorry, I was tabbing out to read PMs, but we're just saying the same thing again.
Yes, I'm so glad that we have so many viewers. Welcome to all the SE2 fans. I hope you enjoy this beautiful game that is Brood War. And to all you Brood War fans, I hope we can get you a little bit excited about the SE2 games as well. That is our goal.
Absolutely. Yeah, we really want to make people just enjoy hanging out and watching StarCraft because, you know, we just think it's fun, and it is fun, and everyone should have fun playing and watching these games because, I mean, that's why these players have so much passion. That's why they try so hard to put out their best play, because they just enjoy playing and practicing so much, and they have so much passion that they worked hard to get up to this point. So whatever game you're a fan of, you know, you can definitely appreciate that on both sides. Whatever prejudice you might have for either game, you know, I know there are legitimate reasons to dislike StarCraft 2. I know there are legitimate reasons to prefer StarCraft 2. But whatever your opinion may be, we're here to have fun. So please enjoy the games with us.
Guys, what it comes down to is this. I have a dream that one day Brood War fans and StarCraft 2 fans will all be holding hands and singing Kumbaya, and the TL mods will no longer have to whip out their banhammers, and they will be so confused. All the flame wars on the forums will all be turned into fluffy hearts and My Little Pony threads, and the mods will be so confused because they're trying to ban people, but they can't. It's glorious, man. It's glorious.
A stunning speech. Thank you, Sayle.
Yeah. I actually had that dream too last night. I was dreaming about My Little Pony.
Emotion.
Don't ask.